Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I see a lot of new faces and old faces, returning faces. So thank you again for making your time now. I know Wednesday is not the best time, so next time we'll stick to Friday. But thank you again for spending time and coming down to this talk. So for the new faces, we'll do this every quarter. So the next one is probably in February. We'll show you guys the timeline in a bit. But I'll do a little bit of intro for those who are new. So we do have a WhatsApp group. So you can scan this QR code to get into the WhatsApp group. We usually share like the next event and resources that you can use or any events from Tableau. Right. There are seats here, sofa. Usually people don't want to sit at the sofa, but please do. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, a quick introduction. So we are the co-leads for this Tableau user group. So I'm Louis, Phyllis is over here, Aloysius, and Wenping all the way at the back. All right, so four of us help to manage this Tableau user group. We're not paid by Tableau in any way, so it's all on volunteer basis because we want to try and bring the community together to share resources and help you guys learn as well. Okay, so this is the agenda for today. So we have Sleigh the stage for IMViz, which basically IMViz is a competition, an annual competition that is done by Tableau. So what they do is every year they come up with a theme. This year is about food and drinks. So people can find your own data set and put out a visualization to enter these qualifiers. So at the end of November, so it ran from like 20th October, 21st of November. So at the end of it, you submit your visualization. And I think they will select the top 10 in probably January. And then out of the top 10, top 3 would go on to Tableau conference in May, where they would participate in a live visualization over a crowd of like 10,000 people, right? So you have to, they have a data set that they need to visualize in 20 minutes. So it's very exciting. So if you watch shows like MasterChef or Iron Chef, then you'll have kind of like a sense of how it is. And then Phyllis, Wenping, and I would give you guys a little bit of tips and tricks on Tableau server on how you can actually help your users find content much easier. And then we'll wrap it up with Suhendra with his demo on all things AI. Right? So if you have any questions about Tableau AI stuff, he's the man to go to. So without further ado, this is timeline. So this is what we have gone through for this year. So thank you again for supporting us and coming down to share our experiences and with us. This is the dates for next year, right? So like I said, January would be the IMViz qualifiers announcement. And then we'll probably have the next meetup in February to celebrate Chinese New Year as well. Tableau conference will be in May, so 5th to 7th of May. The registrations and information is not out yet, but I suspect it might be in January, Suhendra? Yeah, probably, yeah. And then we'll do one in May, and we'll wrap up kind of all the things that happen in Tableau conference. So hopefully one of us will go to Tableau conference to get that coverage for you guys. June, usually we'll have the Outlier conference, which is done by Data Visualization Society, another kind of non-profit organization that does all of this data viz stuff. But I think this next year, they're probably going to do this virtually because of budget constraint and all. And then we'll do one more in August and November wrap up. Right, so this is usually the timeline we work with for the next year. Okay, then I'll leave it to Aloysius to take you guys through all the IMViz, some of the IMViz entries for this year.
Yep, thank you, Louis. My name is Aloysius. Technically, I only selected 3 IMVizzes because I had to present about the IMVizzes that my other co-leads have also created. So the first one is Packing for Mars by Anne Pregler. This was done really well because of how clean the entire visual looks. If you have the time, I think when we share this PowerPoint slide as well, you can click on the title and it will bring you to the visualization. Yeah, this was very clean because I think the main topic was also quite interesting regarding how space-grown vegetables can actually keep like astronauts fed, happy, and healthy, and whether they have actually enough food to actually last to the voyage all the way to Mars. And it also shows like there's a whole narrative of how the current situation is like, what kind of food they're actually bringing to Mars or like to space voyages, and what kind of plants should be chosen based on their nutritional value and whatnot. Yeah, and then the final analysis is also done to propose how much space is needed, because they need to have a garden of their own inside the rockets, and also which vegetables they should bring to like the space voyages. The next one is from Kevin Wee. The art style and the visuals for this, as you can see on the slides here, is very beautiful. It looks like it's from a magazine. The colors are also very easy on the eyes, mainly using only green and a bit of gray and some yellows. So the storytelling analysis is also very well done, because this was from a government included data set. And also it's about looking at how the nutrition values of certain dishes can be found in dim sum restaurants within Hong Kong itself. And also, because it's IMV season, so everybody's also trying to create very complex charts. For example, the ternary plot, when you scroll through the viz, you'll see it as well. It's like the triangular ones, which is mainly used to present like macronutrition composition of like different foods. And also he has a very big radial bar chart with a polar coordinate scatter plot. It's a mouthful of words, but that viz, I think this is the first time I'm seeing it. I don't think I've actually seen that visual so far, but it talks about how the physical quantity of an ingredient has an impact of like the food itself in a singular view. It's quite hard to read as well when you go through the visualization, but he has a few helping visuals as well to also show how to actually read the visual. And then next, we also have this Global Story of Tuna by Hideki Yamamoto. This is slightly different because mainly, I think throughout IMV season as well, a lot of people mainly choose like the long form vizzes, but this is kind of like a slideshow kind of visual, which is also quite new. The main topic is also to look at how tuna is being caught and traded. And I like this because they had a very nice Sankey diagram that actually shows like the trade lanes and how tuna is actually being transported and which species of tuna is actually being transported between like the US and Japan itself. And then the visual ends with a call to action for more sustainable fishing because of how the growing demand of tuna is actually coming up over the years, and also how tuna is being widely used around like the globe as well. And then we move on to our co-leads, starting with Wenpin's one with the hawker center landscape. I really like the geospatial map that he created. And also because it's very interactive, which shows you also like the walking distance of like various community centers or like sport centers and where you can find certain hawker centers within that map itself. So it's also very easy to plan like your, I guess your day whenever you go for like sports events with friends or whatnot. And also he has a very big map layer with various icons. I think there's over 100+ dishes. And I think there was a lot of effort that definitely went into transforming the data and also classifying that data. And also, I like how he also used the colors for like, kind of like a newspaper style, if you can see the background of his visualization. So yeah, do give this a read. And the next one is Home Cafe from Phyllis. So Phyllis created a more interactive visualization, mainly using the spider chart, if you can see in the middle, as the main, I guess, draw. And then on the right side, you can see that there's a few toggleable options that I can click on. And at the side here that I didn't manage to take a screenshot of is there's actually a matcha that she creates. So whatever, I guess, permutation you actually choose, the matcha that is visualized on the coffee table is actually different, which I thought was very creative and very fun to watch. And then lastly, of course, this is Louis Viz, mainly talking about how food has evolved through games and how food has been used as like a resource, or is it used as a goal, or has it been used as for like narrative purposes. And there's a lot of complex vizzes as well, charts being used here. Mainly, I think there's a very big complex network chart for the Final Fantasy 15. If anybody has played that game, there is a lot of ingredients and there's a lot of recipes within that game itself, and it's also a very long game. And also, there's also one about how this radar chart here, if you can see, he has also mainly showed like how 16% of games actually incorporated food. And this is from a data set that he manually aggregated from 1970 to 2025. So this is a very huge data set. You can contact him if you ever need like the data set just for fun or like exploratory purposes. But yeah, do give this a read because I think this is also quite niche as well, because I don't think I've actually seen something similar even on like other, I guess, platforms. Yeah, and then this I hand over to Luis. Thank you.
A shout out to Jeremy. I think there's this post-it competition that happened. And he came in runner place for this, which basically he did a visualization. Wait, why am I he did a visualization of all of the places of interest in Singapore, and you see like the visitor count over at the site. This was done in what tool do you use for this, Jeremy? R. Okay. Yeah, you can probably replicate this in Tableau. Just saying. Yeah, but hopefully next year this encourages you to join IronVis because I think you have the eye for the layouts and everything. Yeah, so definitely try out IronVis next year. No pressure. So I pass over to Phyllis to do the first section for this one.
Okay, hello. Okay, so yeah, Luis and I will be taking this section. We call it Jingle Bells and Data Spells, but it's actually sharing some of our favorite tips for this year lah. Okay, so just curious, how many of you guys actually use Tableau Server or Tableau Cloud for work? Okay, so if y'all do, I'm sure you guys have heard of collections, and you guys probably use collections quite a lot at work. Okay, this screenshot here is actually not my own personal collections page. I cannot take a screenshot of my work. Okay, I just scoped this online from online blog. Okay, but collections are basically like curated playlists of your dashboards or data sources. So you are able to group them together into very nice folders so that you can share with your stakeholders. Okay, so with these curated views, you are able to customize different views. So for example, you can have different collections, one for management, one for product managers, etc. And I have this one section here called use case, and this is actually how I do it for my work lah. Okay, so just FYI, I do product analytics at work. So when our developers, they actually build all these like AI products, we want to know how successful their products are. So we have one common matrix dashboard, a common matrix folder that actually houses all the dashboards that are able to give you like a bird's eye view of all the different products. Okay, but because the different products, they are obviously different, right? So there will be product-specific dashboards as well. So we actually create different folders for that. And then another one is you can actually separate by version. So you can have one for your development environment as well as another one for production environment. So this is where you can, send the link to your stakeholders. You send them the dev one first. Once they're okay with it, then you move to production so that you don't have like duplicative work. Okay, then you can have a general section, getting started, templates, or any like onboarding guide, just like what this person has in this screenshot. Okay, so one of the questions would likely be, okay, so now that you have all these collections, how do you let your users know about them? So you can't possibly send like a link to them all the time, right? Okay, and at work, I actually do get this question quite often, like what are the dashboards I can access? Okay, and then afterwards they were like, okay, where to access these? And yeah, you don't really want to have to handle these kind of questions all the time, right? So one of the things that we actually do at work is we actually utilize subscriptions. So you can actually decide the frequency of this subscription, and you can actually cater these to different user groups. So let's say you have a management dashboard, you can set it to a monthly subscription. Or if let's say you have more on the ground staff or your product managers, maybe they might want to see the data more often, so you can actually send them like a weekly subscription. Okay, but the downside, so I don't know whether y'all got noticed this thing, right? Which is that when you have collections, you are unable to set a subscription for collections. Okay, you're only able to set a subscription at the dashboard level. So one of the tip, or rather one of the things that we do in our agency, right, is we actually combine these two together. So this, what you see here is actually a dashboard, but we kind of make it look like a EDM. So you can design this in, I don't know, Figma or Canva or whatever. You just need to add a navigation link at the very top, so that link to collections, the button at the top is actually a clickable link that will direct users to the whatever collections you have. Yeah. And then because this is a dashboard, you're able to set a subscription. So this is where you can like spam your users, this dashboard. Yeah, so that's how you stack these two together. Yeah, so okay, that's all I have for my link. Hopefully that was useful.
How many users?
I think it's auto track. You can actually check for this stat in Tableau server, but I don't. I don't. But I know it's available. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll hand over to Luis if there's no other questions.
Thank you. So my section will be a follow-up with Phyllis one. So hands up if anyone has a dashboard on your organization that has like maybe 4 or 5 filters or even more than that. Yeah. So one of the challenges that my organization faces when people go into the dashboard, they want to see a certain view. They want to filter the data in a certain manner, right? So let's say, you have a global dashboard, but you are an Asia team. You only want to see Asia sales, for example. You don't want to go into the dashboard and click on the filter to change to Asia every single time you go into the dashboard. So there is a feature within Tableau server that you can create custom view, right? So this is the superstore data that everyone loves. So over here at the top, you can see that there's this view original. So this is the original view that what people would see normally. So what you can do is that you can actually change the filters in the dashboard. And once you do that, another option here will come out called Save Custom View, right? So you click on that, you can name this in a different, with a different name. And you can do the same. So for example, this example I'm showing, I'm creating an East team and a West team, right? So over there, you can actually see that there's this option here that you can set this as the default. Unfortunately, as an admin, you can't set it for others, but if you can create all these views that people can go in and set as their default. So whenever they click, let's say if they set West as their default, now when they load the dashboard, you'll see that it automatically loads the West team with a filter. So it saves them one extra click. So this doesn't have to work with just one filter. You can change multiple filters. You can select a certain section of the dashboard or highlight and stuff like that. And you can even share with the share icon, and it would share that specific view to your users. So it's a very good way to kind of create that curated view for people so that they don't have to go through the entire process of exploring if they don't want to, or they want to have like a specific insight. Or let's say you find something that's interesting about data, right? Like a certain date that there's a spike or something. So you select all those things that you need, and you can share that view with someone. And when they load via that link, then all the filters will be populated like that. This is also another way by manipulating the URL by adding that question mark and the filter name equals to something. But that one is a bit technical. We'll go through in the next one. So these two tricks that we have for Tableau server hopefully will help you to curate better dashboard or curate the collections for your users. So the next section, most exciting one, I'll leave it to Suhendra to bring us through all your questions about AI.
All right. So yeah, good day, afternoon, everyone, evening. I think some of you may not seen me before. So my name is Suhendra, and unlike our co-leader here, I'm paid by Tableau and Salesforce. Right? So just a caveat for that, in case you're wondering. So I lead the solution engineering team for Tableau, covering ASEAN. I've been with Tableau since 2014, so it's been a long time. And when Louis actually reached out to me to, ask for topics and, presentation, I thought like it would be good to have a bit of discussion around like how Tableau and AI actually evolve throughout the times. There's a lot of new term and jargon being thrown out into the market nowadays, and the common feedback that I heard from customers is like, what does it mean, right? Like, you have Tableau Next, you have Tableau Cloud, you have Tableau Pulse, you have Tableau Agent, you have Tableau Agent in server. So I think there's a lot of confusion from across our customer, and hopefully this session can help to provide that clarity to all of you, right? Yeah, forward-looking statement, because some of the things I'm showing here today is in beta, but I would say around 80% of the things I'm showing here is already available today. It's just whether you have the right licensing model or your company already activate for you, right? But I think the idea for me to share with you is to really knowing what's possible, right? Once you see the use cases, you see the value that it can bring to your organization, then you can go and discuss with your internal, see what's the process for you to actually unlock that capabilities, right? Yeah, I just want to start with this deck. Essentially, I think all of us, I mean, for those that been in analytics space, it's very familiar in terms of the evolution. So we start with traditional BI, where we have more like a reporting factory model. When your stakeholder wanted to have a report or insight, they go take a phone, call the IT department or analytics team and say like, hey, I have a question around this, can you help with me, right? And it takes a couple of weeks for them to get back. Best case, there's a best case scenario, sometimes take more than that if the data is not there. And we are moving towards this AI-assisted analytics, right? The idea is like, instead of relying with this centralized expert, can we have the 80% of the question being handled by the AI or LLM, right? Maybe fun games, you can count how many times I talk about AI and LLM as a word. So, before I keep repeating myself. But essentially, like, it's really helping, help assistant for you to help you to do your work and you still be the driver and drive those decisions, right? And then finally, we are in the era where we're looking into the Agentic world. And the layman term to explain that is that you set up a processes, you create a sort of like a guardrail for your AI to operate, and you leave it for them to run the job for you, right? And some of this element is something that we have baked into what we call as a next-gen analytics platform called Tableau Next, which I'm going to speak more later on. So, this is the different step. Essentially, on the high level, when it comes to data analysis, you need to prep your data, you need to analyze, and then for your business user and stakeholder, what are the channels that they consume this insight, right? You can't expect your stakeholder to open, Tableau dashboard to look at the insight or report, right? Typically, they will be given insight through their email digest, right? And then when they have a more question, they might click on it and explore further, but I would say it's very rare, right? Most of the time, all the C-suite is very busy. So what they need is like really this digestible information that they receive on their email or even like collaboration tools like Teams or Slack, right? So that's, the whole premises why we're also trying to think about how people actually digest this insight. Not only creating the insight, right? I met a lot of customers where they create a very, very great dashboard and very powerful analysis, but nobody's actually using it because there is a disconnect in terms of how people actually reach to those insights and digest those insights. Now, if I break down like our product portfolio today, you're going to have like on high level Tableau server, which is our on-prem solution. Tableau Cloud is the SaaS solution, and Tableau Next is the SaaS plus agentic solution, right? And the way how we unlock analytics with AI is fall into two different categories. So one is that want to augment the stages of analysis with AI through their journey, meaning like data preparation. When you analyze, how can AI actually help assist those, right? And then the second part is like, how can we augment or enhance any AI agent that your customer might have, or like your organization might have? Meaning this is how we embed a different AI capability that Tableau have to offer into your AI application or your organization application. So let's start with the first one, which is in those analysis process that I'm talking about, data preparation, analysis, how do we actually augment those stages, right? So I'll start with if we backtrack many years ago, Tableau actually started with Tableau Server without cloud version, right? So we start there, which a lot of our customer that still, not really flexible to move into the public cloud or private cloud. Oh, okay. So customer that use private cloud is considered as on-prem because they need to use Tableau Server. They bring their own licenses. They install Tableau Server in their own premises. So a lot of our Singapore public agencies, I think you're very familiar, we use Tableau Server in those environments, or even private cloud within government agencies. So most of these customers come to us and ask, what kind of AI innovation can we bring into this type of environment, right? And we are pleased to announce that we actually bring the Tableau Agent experience into Tableau Server, which is already GA today. I will not demo this, but I'll combine together with Tableau Cloud. But essentially, when you have Tableau Server deployed, you can actually use this Tableau Agent to assist you in your analysis journey, right? Again, data preparation, the same thing. You're going to have those assistants to help you to cleanse your data. And the way how we set up those, right? This is just a setup on Tableau's server. You can actually, select the different LLM model to do certain things, right? I think for those folks that are very familiar with the LLM evolvement, there's certain model that is actually good on doing certain things like text summarization. There's certain model that is pretty good in terms of like reasoning engine, right? So we want to give an ability for customer to actually choose the right model to do certain tasks, right? And this is something that you can set up in Tableau Server as well. For the first release, we only integrate with OpenAI for now, but of course, moving forward, there will be more popular LLM model provider that we can integrate into the on-prem solution. In fact, there are many customers that also experimenting of bringing their own LLM model on-prem. So they are willing to buy this hardware with a very strong GPU to deploy inside their environment. And they just like bring like a Llama model or even like a DeepSeek to be deployed within their infrastructure. Now, my personal experience when I play around with it, it's very hard to find it. Maybe because I use like a AWS EC2 instance to experiment, right? I think you need to really have a very powerful hardware to run some of this model on-prem, right? When I test it with like OpenAI, which I'm going to show the demo, you don't really need to care about what's going into the hardware. You just throw your whole prompt and the OpenAI will come back with something. But when you deploy your own on-prem, yeah, it's not that simple. You throw the whole list of contacts, it's never come back. So yeah. All right. Now let's move on to Tableau Cloud, right? So one of the differentiator between the on-prem solution and the SaaS solution is what we call as a Tableau Pulse, which is essentially, is a new capability that we roll out in a couple of years back then, and it's had improved a lot to help, delivering insight to your stakeholder through mobile channel or even like in a dashboard in the desktop, right? And the idea behind this is that, people just need to keep track their important metrics, and then for any question that they want to ask, they can actually leverage the AI model to answer those questions for them, right? Now, this Pulse will not answer 100% of the question, just to be clear, right? There are people asking me, do we still need to have dashboard? The answer is yes, because I love to think about LLM will solve all our problem, but the fact is not, right? That's the reality and the harsh truth. So whenever I meet customer, I want to set expectation that this is going to help you cut down like 80% of the ad hoc question, but there is this last mile of like hard question or complex question that you still need people like all of you to kind of like put your brain together and think about how can we, analyze and surface this information, right? Okay, I'll skip this because I'm going to cover this in demo anyway. So let me jump into the demo portion so that you don't fall asleep. All right, so this is a Tableau Pulse, right? I think some of you might have seen this demo many, many times. So I'm going to give a different spin around this demo. So as we know, it's a capability of like tracking the metric, right? You can see the up and down of your metric. It gives you like some sort of like machine learning to help monitor your data point. If there's any data is changing, you'll actually surface those insights for you. So this thing is actually summarized using LLM, but the actual number crunching is not through LLM, but is using statistical model that is inbuilt within the platform, right? So you connect to the data, and based on the measure and the dimension that you select, you will actually monitor the anomalies of those data. Let's say if there's any, sudden drop, or maybe there's an increase of revenue or whatever, you'll actually highlight those for you automatically, right? Now, I can actually go into that metric to look into more detail, right? And I just want to go back into the previous statement that I make, right? Now, Tableau Pulse is great for you to actually ask those follow-up questions to track your metric, but a lot of the plumbing work is actually happening before that. All the data engineering work need to be done before that. So this is the use cases for this is that it's about predicted profit margin, which is one of the customer, which is the CFO, wanted to have the ability to predict his profit margin based on their historical data. So I have, so the customer is actually in real estate development. So they have this historical data about different costs when they actually build properties, like a combination of bathroom, the supplier, the cost of material, and so on and so forth, right? So they want to use those data to predict their profit margin. So how do we do that, right? That's where we actually leverage another component as part of that. Actually, this is not Tableau, but it's part of Tableau now after we acquisition with Salesforce. So it's part under our capability. Essentially, it is a machine learning out of the box that we can actually do. So we can actually use this model. So for example, if I go into the setting here, right? So this model actually use this algorithm, right? And you can actually select some of the popular machine learning algorithm that deliver out of the box. In this case, is using GLM algorithm. And what good about this is that when you upload your data, it will actually help you to explain, right? Like what's the importance of this variable to meet the goal that you're trying to achieve, which is in this case, we want to increase our profit margin. So it can tell us like, okay, in order for us to increase our profit margin, perhaps you want to look at your number of delays, right? Which is, obvious. But essentially the other information like the type of material is also impacting in terms of like profit margin as well. So all of this work is being done inside the this predicted model. We can also look at the evaluation of the model itself, right? For those that train in data scientists, I think this is the part where you would love to understand how the behind the scene is actually, the machine learning actually like evaluating the model, right, and come up with a prediction. So with this model in place, what happened is that we also use the actual data that is today, right, and we pushed into this model to come up with a prediction. So the step is like you run the model with your past historical data, and then you use the current data to be predicted using this model that you have trained, right? And then the output will be served through Pulse. So the stakeholder will receive the final output in the way like how they going to ask follow-up question or even like break down certain detail of it. Yeah, so you can break down different filtering based on that, and you can also ask a follow-up question. And this is the part where you will leverage the power of LLM to actually ask those questions ad hoc basis, right? So far, any question? I don't want to be the one that keep talking. Yes. So, okay, so for Tableau Pulse, Tableau Cloud have its own sort of like AI, like agentic or AI application built in already, and it's out of the box, right? Now, under the hood, yes, it does use OpenAI as the primary LLM, right? But at the same time, there's a different combination of other LLM that we actually use as part of this whole process. So it's not only one model, if that makes sense, right? There's a combination of multiple model. Some model is also a Salesforce own LLM model that we actually built internally to fine tune this response. Yeah. In a way, yes. Yeah, but the way how we architect the solution is that you have your data published into Tableau Cloud, right, which is an AWS private cloud, right? And then you have the what we call as an instant trust layer, which is a layer that going to mask your data for PI information or even like detect any toxicity and stuff like that. And then going into the OpenAI. Now, between Salesforce and OpenAI, like any other customer enterprise, we have a agreement with OpenAI in terms of like they cannot use the data for training purposes, right? And they will not retain those data inside OpenAI as well. This is like more like a contractual agreement between Salesforce and OpenAI. You can if you have $1 billion, yeah. No, I mean, so you're talking about the prediction model, or you're talking about the whole like LLM model in general? So prediction model, yes, agree. Like prediction model, I think if you have a strong data scientist team internally in your organization, you can definitely build this in R or Python, right? I think the value here is that if your organization do not have a resource that trained to run this, you can actually leverage the out of the box things like this to deliver those output much quicker. So that's on the predicting part, right? Using the machine learning. The one I'm talking about is the LLM model, right? So if the question is like, if I want to deploy like an on-prem LLM model, let's say I download DeepSeek, deploy in my organization, and I want to get the same output, right, in terms of accuracy, fine-tune and everything. I mean, I cannot give a blanket statement, but I would say that it takes a bit of effort, time, and resources to actually fine-tune and making sure that the actual response coming from the LM is according to what you are trying to do. Yeah. So if you imagine like diagram, right? So you have Tableau Cloud, you have your trust layer or like an application in between, and you have your model in the end, right? I think the middle part is the one that many companies actually build their own application on top. The OpenAI is the one that receive the input and process it and give the response back, right? So in this case, what happened is that Tableau Cloud is that middle layer where it hosts the data. It will know what information that will pass into the OpenAI or any LLM model in that sense for it to come back with the actual answer to our question. Because if you ask this question, what factors are contributing to this predicted profit margin, right? We are not taking the whole data set and dump into the LLM and ask the LLM to come back to us, right? You need to know what actual fields that need to send to the model before it's actually written the answer to your question. If that makes sense. Yeah. Maybe we can chat offline to actually explain a little bit detail on that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So continuing on this, so when this question being asked, right, not only it will provide answer based on the data that we have today, it will also incorporate the prediction model that we have put into the data set to actually give you, explanation in terms of like how can we improve to actually increase our profit margin, right? So all of those is already exists in the data set based on our pre-processed data that we done early on. All right. Now moving on, the other capabilities that we actually release for Tableau Cloud is what we call as a dashboard narrative. I'm not sure like how many of you, have these challenges where your stakeholder open a dashboard and they just couldn't make sense like what is this dashboard about? Like they do not know where to start, or maybe they don't understand what is it about. So this is the use case why we're introducing this. Essentially, it is allowing the end user to have a summary generated for them. Right, so if I zoom in here, so I can get a dashboard overview to explain like what is the dashboard all about, right? Yeah, so it will explain that, and I can also ask for the dashboard insight, which essentially going through every single worksheet that you have in this dashboard and come up with explanation for insight related for that particular worksheet, right? So as you can see here, it will give you the summary on the top, right? And it will go through every single worksheet that you use in your dashboard to actually create a summary. So for example, like sales by state, right? It will actually give you a key point for you to pay attention. And they can also like give you some additional insight based on some other anomalies data that is actually spotting. All right. This part, is it? No. So the left part is the normal dashboard creation process, right? Somebody need to go and connect to data and build their own analysis. The dashboard narrative is the tool that we provide to the business stakeholder so that they can actually get to know or find insight quicker by having this assistant to scan the information for them, right? It's based on the it's based on the data that you use in this dashboard. So for example, like this one, sales by state, is actually looking at this particular viz and look at the interesting data point or insight that can actually may be interesting for the stakeholder to read. So instead of me going myself and see, okay, what is this about, which sales by state that actually performing well, right? We leverage the power of LLM to actually summarize it for us. Again, this is not, there's a human in the loop, right? The purpose of this is to speed up the time and then for the human to, go deeper based on the insights being provided, right? Same like how we use ChatGPT, you ask a question, you will validate, it will save you a lot of time, but you wouldn't take the output as a face value. You want to validate and see what you can use from that response. All right. Yes. Yes. No. It will only look at the dashboard, the worksheet that you have put in the dashboard, correct? Yeah. For your use cases, there'll be another one that, going to be targeted toward that use cases. But yeah, for this case, it's only for the dashboard or the worksheet that you use in the dashboard. So for the dashboard narrative, right? Now I'm not the one that built the code for this, but if I can make assumption, the way how it works is that it will actually look at your worksheet here. So for example, it's like a top 10 manufacturer, right? What it does is actually look at the summary data for this particular worksheet, right? So it will look at the summary data of this, and it will actually pass those data into the LLM to actually figure out what insight you can tell me about this, right? You will not send the detailed data, but rather the summary data, right? However, what's that called? The Tableau Pulse demo just now, that one is scanning the data set that you actually connected to, right? So when you ask question, it does actually query into the data source and try to figure out like what's the right insight that can be used to answer your question. All right. Okay, so we have covered that. So this one I think is pretty interesting. I'm not sure like how many of you have used this, but how many of you use Microsoft Teams in your company? Wow, not a lot. Okay, first time. I thought like it will be more people using Microsoft Teams. Okay, let me see if I can do this. How come I cannot share Microsoft Teams? Oh, sorry. Okay, this one. All right, so this is Microsoft Teams, right? Now I know a lot of organizations may not be aware that you can actually activate what we call as a Tableau application in your Microsoft Teams, and it's allow you to actually embed a different metrics and also dashboard into your Microsoft Teams. Like for example, you have a channel, right? You can actually have a specific, I mean, in the Slack world, it's called Canvas. I'm not sure why it's called in Microsoft Teams, but it's a page where you can actually put the dashboard that is relevant for that particular department, right? Let's say you are in the marketing channel, so I'll put a dashboard that actually, relevant for that marketing, and also the KPI that is powered by Tableau Pulse, for example, right? I will talk about the MCP later on, which is, AI conversation tools that you can deploy in on-prem later on the slide. But just to point out, you can also call that. So this is the example that I'm going to demo later on. But within the Microsoft Teams, you can also call the same conversational analytics within Teams. So if your user want to ask more question, they can actually use this to ask that question, right? Same thing for the metrics here. It is a live metric that coming from the Pulse. So the same experience that we just saw early on will be applicable here as well, right? They can ask questions, they can measure, and so on and so forth, right? So no differences. So I think this is one of the often overlooked by a lot of customers that they do not know that you can actually activate Tableau into their Microsoft Teams. Most of the time is because, the IT team is not activating for them, or maybe there's some clearance that you need to do before they add the application into the Microsoft Teams. But yeah, just so that you're aware, you can go back and speak to your IT team and see if they can actually activate for you, right? No. Yeah, it's part of the Microsoft Exchange. So you can just go to the app market and you search for Tableau Cloud to actually install, and you can actually add into this. So this is a Tableau component, right? So we basically embedding the component within Microsoft Teams. The data still sit within your Tableau environment. Does it make sense? Yeah.
So it's just UI.
For them to interact, yeah, correct. Because you need to set up the integration, right? So if I go back to here, there's a configuration that you need to do here to actually define the the site name, right? All of this. Yeah, this is like the configuration that you need to do. So the data will still reside in Tableau. It's just that the UI and the interacting layer will be in Microsoft Teams. So they do not need to, go open the browsers or go to different system to look at it. Say again? Good question. I haven't tried it, but maybe a good test to try, because I don't have an environment to try it. But technically speaking, it should be the same, because as long your this base URL should be your Tableau server URL, right? As long you whitelist this URL to be called by Microsoft Teams, you should be able to embed it, right? But if your company doesn't allow the URL to be open to Microsoft, then yeah, that will be a problem. But in the first place, you can use Microsoft Teams, means like they should open it. So you have a question? No, you still need to do that, but let me think the right answer for that. Oh, so it's actually use a preferred username, right? So it's actually integrating with your Active Directory from Microsoft. So in order for you to link the Tableau username with Microsoft username, you need to use the single sign-on with Active Directory. Then they cannot see that portion. Yes. Yes, something like that. Those people that have access, then they will be able to see the content, right? So if I go back into the chat here, it will try to load this, and if the person actually do not have valid licenses, then they probably won't see anything.
What if they have a license?
Should be the same. Yeah. Again, I haven't tried, but my hypothesis is saying that.
This is fine, but will it view it or just only view it, right? I can have my data here from Teams.
So the objective of embedding any dashboard or metric in Teams is really to, get the wider audience to actually get insight faster, right? So the building process is not here. It's more like the final output, which is the viewer, they can interact with the filter, right? If you have multiple dashboard, you just need to do like dashboard action to move into different pages as well. So the whole purpose is for people to actually interact with it. The actual creation, authoring will still need to go back into the cloud, and the server. Okay, so that's on Teams, right? Funny enough, I was talking to Luis just now, and he used Slack. So let's go into Slack now. Oh, actually, the Slack is like on later slide. Okay, let me pause for that first. Let me go for the next one first, okay? All right. So Tableau Next. So essentially, there's a lot of confusion in terms of like, what's Tableau Next, right? There's this perception like, oh, if I don't use a Salesforce CRM, there's no value for me to actually use Tableau Next, right? Now, while that statement is somewhat true, but I would argue that there is true value for you to actually get to know what is Tableau Next and how you can actually fully leverage this Tableau Next for your own use cases, right? Which I can speak more later on. But essentially, Tableau Next is a totally different platform from your usual Tableau Cloud Tableau server, because it is built within the Salesforce platform. So it's built like from the ground up. And it is sitting on the, what they call it, like Data 360 or Data Cloud, former name. And it allows you to actually deploy a agentic use cases, right? Meaning, when I say agentic, you want to have an ability for your user to not only have conversation, but also want to trigger some action. So let's say you want to see which one is my top performing sales reps, right? And then after you do your analysis, you want to trigger, let's say, oh, I want to target this list of customers to campaign, right? And there is an integration that is already built within Salesforce to actually do the actual work just by chatting with this particular agent. So that's what I mean by agentic, right? So just a quick one, you know, you have a different skill, just like any games, you have three skills being given to this agent. So you have conscious, which allow you to ask question, inspector to help you to, you know, alert you whenever there's the data anomalies or metric that you want to measure, and data point is the one that, you know, for, you know, data preparation, right? I'll skip this because I'm going to demo anyway. So let me skip. Yeah, this is the semantic layer. Okay, so let's start with Slack. Okay. I notice the crowd is more alive when we do a demo. So let's skip the boring stuff. So for those that doesn't use Teams, you all use Slack, is it? Or you all use any other tool that I'm not aware of? Huh? Zoom? Not yet. Yeah. Okay. So okay, good to know there's a customer that using Zoom. So in Slack, right? Essentially, it's the same messaging like what you saw in Microsoft Teams. Essentially, when you use Slack, you have the concept of you know, team channel, right? In this case, we are talking about an account channel within Slack. So you can have this conversation with your colleague or whatsoever, right? And you can embed straight away like a dashboard metric as part of a conversation. Oops. Oh, okay. Well, you all very. Oh, you didn't know the drill. Okay. Next time, somebody before 8 o'clock next need to stand beside already. Okay. Good. So yeah, I was saying that, you know, this is the normal channel where people collaborate and they can actually share metrics, share dashboard, and all of those, right? Similar with Teams, they have Slack have a concept of canvas where you have your, you know, write up about your business unit or things that, you know, you want your team to be aware of. You can embed like a metric straight away within your Slack channel as well, like this, right, together with a dashboard. I think the cool thing is that similar with, you know, how I have demo previously, you can ask a follow-up question straight away within Slack. So I can actually click this, let's say like I want to ask more question about my sales. So I can ask about Agentforce for analytics. You're just going to open this sidebar and I can ask things like, let me see, what do I ask? What happened to my sales? Okay, live demo, okay guys, so hopefully it's working. So what happened is that, you know, we actually use the semantic data behind the scene, right? Okay. Let me see, list down. So we actually use the semantic layer powered by Tableau Next behind the scene, and we leverage the, you know, the conscious as the agent to query the respective data whenever any user actually asks a question, right? So when I ask a question, the agentic or the agent will actually interpret my question, right, by sending it to LLM and come back with a query, and this query will be used to actually pull the relevant data from your semantic layer and list down the response to that question, right? So the use case for this is very, very powerful because we know that for those that have been doing like a day in life as an analyst, you know, like a lot of your stakeholder will ping you, ask you about stuff that, why can't you do it yourself, right? That moment, basically, right? A simple question like, oh, can you pull me a data about like top 5 customer that are going to a trip this year or whatever, right? So this type of ad hoc question should be handled by analytics agent, right? And we can use the time save for the team to actually doing more high value work, right? Like tackling some of the important problem. Let's say you have a backlog of data that you need to ingest or you need to analyze, right? And all of these things require the real sort of like analyst superhero to actually look and analyze, right? I think they are forcing us to go home. Okay. Every time the team is coming back, it's like turn on already. Okay. Yeah, so this is a quick, walkthrough like how we embed the agentic experience as part of the flow of the work that people actually use. So the vision is like people, when they want to get data and insight, they shouldn't be going anywhere, right? They need to stay with whatever system that they're using today, be it CRM, be it like collaboration tools, or even like within Tableau, to simply ask those questions and get the answer immediately, right? Any question on this? This one just need to activate, yeah. In case you're wondering. Yes, correct. Good question. I know it's going to come up. That's why I have something for that as well. So let me, seems I have crystal ball. Let me see, go back to my slide again. Okay, so we have gone through the Slack portion. Is going to be available in Teams soon as well, right? In the next year, forward-looking statement. So look forward for that. So now we shift gear from augmenting the different stage of analysis with AI towards embedding those experience in the flow of work that people are doing, right? Now, if I kind of like plot in like a quadrant diagram like this, right? I will think that we can map out the different capability that we have into this, largely into like 3 different groups. So the y-axis, you have the efforts to implement or to activate. Then you have the flexibility on the x-axis, right? On the far right side, you have Tableau Server, right? Why do I put Tableau Server at the top right corner? Because in order for you to bring any AI capability inside your organization, all right, except the one that out of the box that I just, talk about, it requires some level of effort to actually build it and maintain it, right? I'm talking about the Tableau MCP server, right, and also the MCP client for you to be able to have the ability to ask question and have the answer given back by the LLM of your choice, right? But the flexibility of Tableau Server for AI is like limitless, right? You can do whatever you want, right? You want to tweak your server to do certain things. You want to downsize, upsize your server to the maximum of your budget is possible, right? So the flexibility is, limitless. It's just constrained by your resources and knowledge, right? And then we have the Tableau Cloud portion, whereby everything is out of the box, right? But it's also black box. So you can't really change much, right? It is already purpose built to do certain use cases or certain objective. Let's say the common requirement that I actually get is let's say like, like Tableau Pulse, when you ask question, it will actually respond into certain pattern, right? Certain format. So customer asks, oh, can I get the AI to respond in this template? Essentially, they want the Tableau Pulse to, let's say, produce a customer meeting briefing, for example, right? That type of use cases cannot be done, right? Because it's black box, you cannot modify anything within Tableau Pulse, right? Or Tableau Agent in that sense. So the effort to activate, really, really simple. You just turn on and you can use it. flexibility-wise, is very, very locked down, right? You can't do much. And then on the middle, you have the Tableau Next, which is, yes, it requires a bit of effort to activate and set up, right? But it's not so crazy that you need to go into like a hard code programming level coding, right? You just need to know the setup and configuration appropriately. And then it kind of push the boundaries of flexibility, because Tableau Next is built on the agent force, which is you can actually modify. So you can add more skill, right? Let's say you want your analytics agent to execute, let's say, search on the public web internet, for example. You can actually add those capability. Or you want the agent to look at the unstructured data. That's also possible, right? So the flexibility is much more richer compared to Tableau Cloud. Okay, so let's start with Tableau Server, right? Now this is Tableau MCP, and for those that is not familiar, let me walk through the high level, like crash course of this. So you have the intranet, internet. Apologies for those that is not so technical, but I just want to walk through the flow of the things, right? So when user asks question, right, what happens is that this custom MCP client, which is built by your own organization, will actually pass the request to pull the different capability that this MCP server can do. So MCP server can do like, query data sources, can list the data sources. It can also give a list of metadata of your fields as well, right? So if I ask a question, list down the top 5 product by sales. So this question, together with the list of data sources, we will pass this to the LLM, right? And then whatever LLM that you choose, it can be OpenAI, it can be Llama, Bedrock, whatever. It will come back with a decision, right? It will tell you, oh, based on your question, you want to have like a top 5 product by sales, Superstore data is the right data sources. So it will respond with that, right? And then your custom MCP client will request another information from your MCP server to list down the fields. So now we have defined, okay, I want to get Superstore data. Now the server need to give me a list of fields, right? Is it like product, sales, profit, category, so on and so forth, right? As part of the metadata. And then this metadata will be passed on to the LLM again. Because in order for us to get the insight, we need to query the data first. But we cannot query if we do not know what field we need to find, right? So this is the purpose of passing it to the LLM to query for you. And then once you have that, you're going to execute that sort of like what we call as a VSQL data services query into the MCP server. So we'll pull only the data that you need. Again, we're not pulling the entire data. We only pull the data that you need to answer the question. So if I ask top 5 product by sales, I don't need to take my customer name as part of the query that I sent to LLM. Right? I just need to pull my top 5 query in the query with the name of the product and also the numbers, the sales figure. And I pass that raw data back to the LLM once again to summarize, right? To give me the summarize and make it readable for the user to actually read. And finally, we pass on to the user to read those information. Now, I know it's a lot, right? Let me go into this, the actual one. So this is Tableau Server, just so that you don't think I'm cheating. So let me just show you. This is Tableau Server, okay? And it's a normal dashboard where I have an MCP built already. So this MCP is built using the same architecture that I just described early on, right? The demo is using OpenAI on the backend. But what I can do is that I can ask question things like, okay, I want to know why this particular manager is not performing well, right? So I can ask like, this fund. Sorry, I didn't copy paste the question. Neil. So the question is like, why this fund manager is not doing well, right? Now as you can see, it's actually, in the real time, giving you the actual things that the MCP is doing. And just so that you know, this interface is custom made, right? It's not given by Tableau out of the box. It's more like my side project. I try to play around with it and build this. So, it's to demonstrate how you can actually come up with such interface. So now it's querying data. It's already decided the data source that actually being queried, and it will also filter that particular name, which is this guy, as part of the query that we send to the LLM, right? So you see that the LLM nicely enough formatted in such a way that it will give you, okay, for this particular person, right? We can see that, oh, there's a negative returns, that's why it's not profitable, there's a mixed performance, so on and so forth, right? It gives you like a citation as well. So if there is a multiple data sources that this MCP queries to actually pull the insight, it will also give you the citation as well. Question? Yes. You can, but you need to build it yourself. Yeah, because this is like a custom sort of like code that you build on top of the MCP server, right? It's not like part of the, out of the box that you get. Of course, there's a lot of communities that actually build this and share the code. Even for me, I can give you the code if you want to, and you can improve whatever capability and functionality that you want to add on.
What's the MCP?
Model Context Protocol. So it's a industry framework for AI to communicate with another AI application. So think about API. In the past, like you want system to talk to another system using API, right? MCP is the term for AI application with another AI application. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, I as a content
For the Tableau server side, which is the MCP route, that's not something that we can do out of the box. But again, if I put my developer hat, you can build the client in such a way that before you passing anything to the LLM, you're going to run a function to estimate the token required to actually process this. So there's a function in OpenAPI for you to estimate the token, right? And then if you build a function, if it's above this threshold, you tell the user, are you sure you want to execute this because it's going to cost you $1 million? First, yes to continue, then yeah. So that's the idea, right? But I mean, it's a real requirement actually. Like there's a customer asking that because they know that you open this to a lot of people. Yeah, the next day, the company will went bankrupt because of that. Yeah.
Just to follow up on right now, there are
You mean like evaluation of the response given out by the model, is it? Like the model? Okay. Let me answer you that question on the next segment. But the short answer is like for this, no, you can't do that, right? But if you use the concierge, everything is logged within our telemetry data. In fact, it is one of the key value proposition that Salesforce bring to the market where you can actually observe anything that the agent doing, right? Be it like question that the user is asking, what is the response that the model actually giving back to the user, right? And you can actually fine tune the instruction as well. So meaning if user asking this question and the agent respond in a wrong way or inaccurate, they can actually create another layer on top to actually sort of like enforce the instruction. So the next time the agent run the same question again, it will be added into this additional context to make sure that they actually follow the whatever processes that we actually put in place. So accuracy is a big problem in the AI industry, if you guys already aware of, because you cannot expect the LLM to respond exactly the same when you ask a couple of days ago. It will be slightly different, right? Worst case, sometimes it's hallucinate, right? So, yeah, there's some improvement that Salesforce is making on that front as well. So that's the Tableau server part. I know we are way over time, but I just want to make sure everybody's still with me. Hopefully the things is a bit. Correct. The data source, yes. I'm sure there is, yeah, because Slack is also very flexible. You can have apps that you build in Slack to kind of like, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's possible, yeah, using the Slack workflow or something. But it's custom built, you need to build on the workflows flow. Yeah, I never tried, but worth exploring. Yeah. Okay, my last bit, which is around the Tableau Next relevancy with the broader Tableau portfolio, right? Now, most of us in this room is using either Tableau Cloud or Tableau Server, right? So why do I need to care about Tableau Next? So that's where the analytics interoperability come into picture. And I'm sure like you have heard about this in Tableau conference on any marketing material that we send across the globe. But in a layman term, what happened is that we want to ensure that whatever asset that you have built within Tableau Cloud or Tableau Server can be leveraged to pursue another use cases, right? So anything that you build in Tableau Cloud or Tableau Server will not go in waste, but rather we leverage those to actually unlock additional use cases. So in this case, you may have data sitting in Tableau Cloud or Tableau Server. So what happened is that within the Tableau Next, right? I'm going back in Tableau Next again. I can actually connect to the Tableau Cloud and Tableau Server data set, right? So in this case, if I go into this, let me copy my, okay. So I just need to provide the site URL and the site ID, and I can connect. And I'll pull the list of data sources that I have inside Tableau Cloud or Server, right? And then I can choose the semantic model. Oh, sorry, the published data source in Tableau Cloud. So if I go into my Tableau Cloud, this is the actual data sitting in the Tableau Cloud, right? And then I simply creating this integration between Tableau Next into this data source. So I can create a new one. Semantic, okay. And I create this, right? So you might be wondering, like, why do we need to create this, right? What was the purpose of, bringing this into our semantic layer? And the simple answer to that is you can actually use this to unlock, any AI use cases that you may want to enable for that particular data sources. So in this case, since the data is hosted in Tableau, we are creating this integration with the semantic. So whatever agent that querying against this data will actually passing the query back to your Tableau Cloud or Tableau Server to pull the data, right? And do whatever tasks that you ask the agent to do. So that's the purpose of bringing this agentic, the data into the semantic layer, right? And the other purpose for this is that for you to pursue any AI use cases, you want to enrich the data with additional data sources, right? So you can actually, let me see if I go back here. So let's say I have this workspace in Tableau Next already. So I can actually extend, right, semantic model. So imagine this is the data that is coming from your Tableau cloud or Tableau server. I can extend this. All right. And then I can add more data on this, right? I mean, for those organizations that use Salesforce, definitely this is like very, very useful for them to actually build on top of that. But even for customer that doesn't use any Salesforce product, they have this capability to, enable some of their AI use cases. And they can also like, let's say if I go edit in my main one, it will also help them to enrich their metadata, right? So if I go back into here, so let's say I have here, can edit the properties. So the metadata is very important when you want to build any AI application. So you have this capability to enrich your metadata with whatever description. So when you ask a question, the agent will be able to pull the right information for you to use, right? Now, once this is set up, right, how can we bring this experience back into Tableau, right? So the way how it works is that, I'll just speed forward into this. You will have this architecture, right, where you embed back the Tableau Next into your Tableau environment. So if I zoom in on this bit, hopefully everybody can see. Yeah. So you have your regular dashboard analysis on the right side. You can enable this concierge as your assistant, and this particular agent will, read from your semantic layer to help answer your question and also provide the visual element as part of the response, right? So that's to answer your question, like how, do we bridge back those agentic use cases back to our Tableau Cloud, Tableau Server environment. All right. Any question? Last question? Overrun. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So for the other use cases like the MCP just now, right? If you want to have a visual element, either you get the LLM to create like an open source code on the run on the fly, right? To create the visual element, which is sometimes prone to have an error as well because you're actually generating on the fly, and performance typically is quite slow because you need to have more time to generate those visual elements. Okay. All right. With that, let me just close off with the summary. So yeah, this is sort of like the summary of whatever I just spoke about. So you have the AI coming to the server in the form of Tableau Agent, right? First release will be integrated with OpenAI. And then from Tableau Cloud, you have the dashboard narrative, the Pulse, and the agent within Tableau Cloud. And then the Tableau Next is more of the agentic use cases, right? Think about if you want to trigger different systems to do certain things, that's a great use case of Tableau Next, right? A good thing about Tableau Cloud that I forgot to highlight is that for Tableau Cloud, a lot of company that offer AI solution will charge based on consumption, okay? Tableau Cloud for the past use cases and the agent is already part of the licenses. So there's no additional consumption cost for that particular capabilities, right? Just a fine print. All right, with that, I hope the sharing is useful for all of you. Sorry that I take more time than what is intended, but yeah, I hope everybody's take something away from the session. I'll pass back to Liz.
Thank you, Suhendra. I think this is really interesting because we are going into the era of AI, and there's a lot of, I think don't need to share it, yeah, there's a lot of talks about how we can implement this in our organization. So if you all have more questions about it, feel free to shoot us a message or connect with Suhendra on LinkedIn, and you can bombard his LinkedIn message box. Yeah. Any questions before we wrap it up? yes, we'll share the recording because there's a lot of information. And so today we actually recorded it. And also like all these slides will be shared with you guys as well. So don't worry if you don't remember half of it because it's a lot of information.